Hi everyone, this is Mrs. Chen. This is part 2 of my fraction tutorial. In this video, we will focus on equivalence fractions and comparing fractions. So let's first talk about equivalence fractions. The word equivalent means equal. Here are some examples. In this picture, you have 1/3 and 1, 2, 2/6. 1/3 and 2/6. Because their size is exactly the same, and therefore we say they are equivalent. In this picture, we have 1, 2, 3, 3/8 and 1, 2, 2/6. However, as you can see, 3/8 is definitely greater than 2/6. The size is bigger and 2/6 is smaller, and therefore 3/8 is not equivalent to 2/6 because they don't represent the same size of a whole. Sometimes we also use fraction circles to represent our equivalent fractions. In this picture, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 equal parts and 4 parts are shaded. So we have 4/8. And in this circle, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 equal parts and 2 parts are shaded. If you look at just the size of the shaded part and ignore all the lines in between them, you would see that they are exactly the same size. And I can stack it up to show you. Here you go. Okay, they're the same size. And therefore, they are equivalent fractions. In this picture, 1, 2, 3, 3/8 and 1/2, if I stack them up, you can see that they are not exactly the same size. 1/2 is greater. Therefore, they are not equivalent fractions because they do not represent the same size of a whole. We can also use number line to represent equivalent fractions. There are two types of number lines that you may see in your test questions. For example, here, this one, they use one number line to represent two sets of fractions. At the bottom, you will see there are 3 equal parts. 1, 2, 3. And that's why you have 0/3, 1/3, 2/3, and 1 whole, which is 3/3. Remember, when you name your fraction, when you label your fraction, you label on the marks, not where you jumps. And on top, we have 6 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 equal parts. As you can see, the fraction line is already labeled. So the question will be, which points are the two numbers equivalent? Or what two numbers are equivalent on this orange dot here? The answer would be 2, 6, and 1/3 because they are at the same distance from 0. So if I use this sentence stems, it would be 2, 6 is equivalent to 1/3 because they represent the same distance on the number line from 0. Another kind is you will have two separate number lines. Here you see 1/2 because there are 2 equal parts in this number on this number line. 1, 2. And on this number line, you have 8 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's why your denominator is 8. So what fraction is equivalent to 1/2? And you need to find the place that is the exact same distance from 0 on the 8th number line, which is this point right here. So the answer is 4/8 because they represent the same distance on the number line from 0. The next one is comparing fractions. In 3rd grade, we only compare fractions with the same denominator or the same numerator. We would not compare fractions with different numerator or different denominator. So let's talk about comparing fractions with the same denominator first. In this picture, I have 1/4 and 2/4 together. I'm comparing these two. So 1/4 and 2/4. Here's your comparison statement. Because 2/4 obviously it's bigger, it's longer, it's a bigger number. So we're going to put 2 dots next to the bigger number because big one has 2. Small one only has 1 dot next to it. And now we connect the dots. So 1/4 is less than 2/4. Remember, when comparing fractions with the same denominator, the larger the numerator, which is 2 here compared to 1, the larger the fraction because you take more pieces. Here is another question. Mom cut 2 pies into 8 slices each. Peter ate 1 piece of cherry pie and 2 pieces of blueberry pies. Which pie did he eat more? So let's shade it in. 1 piece of cherry pie. So let's shade in 1 part of the cherry pie. And 2 pieces of blueberry pies. Blueberry is blue. So it's 1 part, and more than that, 2 parts. So the question is, which pie did he eat more? If you look at the size of the shaded parts, you can tell that he ate more blueberry pie because this one is 1/8, this one is 2/8. We know that 2/8 is bigger, so 2 dots next to it. 1/8 is smaller, so 1 dot next to it. Connect the dot. 1/8 is less than 2/8. When comparing fractions with the same denominator, which is 8 pieces, the larger the numerator, the larger the fraction. Now we're going to compare fraction with the same numerator. Here you have 2 fractions. Once again, you have 2/6 and you have 2/4. Just compare the size of these 2 fractions. You can tell 2/4 is greater. So once again, big number, 2 dots next to it. Small number, 1 dot, and we connect the dot. So 2/6 is less than 2/4. The reason is because you have more people share. When you cut it into 6 equal pieces, that means each piece is smaller. If you have less people sharing, that means your pieces would be bigger. So when comparing fractions with the same numerator, the larger the denominator, the smaller the fraction because you have more people sharing. Here's an example. Mabel used 1/4 of a piece of construction paper. So let's shade it in, 1/4. Betty used 1/2 of another piece of construction paper. So let's shade in 1/2. Who used more construction paper here? Obviously, 1/2 is greater than 1/4. So let's compare. They both have a 1 as the numerator. However, this one is cut into 4 equal pieces. This one is cut into 2 equal pieces. Because 1/4 is less, so we put 1 dot. 1/2 is more, we put 2 dots. Connect the dot. 1/4 is less than 1/2. This is how much construction paper Mabel used, and this is how much Betty used. So Betty is the one that used more construction paper here. I hope you find this video helpful. Keep practicing your fractions. Thank you very much.